Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Bob.
Any of you class of 60 guys, if you want to see Father Timothy here, your classmate, you call him up, because I keep twisting his leg. But he was doing dishes this morning. He's the prior, he's the second in command, but he should be here. So you guys work on him. I can't do it.
I rattled his cage when he had the...
Yeah, you saw him there. Yeah, you saw him there.
Mention Tom.
Well, just a few announcements. Tomorrow, down at Windows on the River, we're inducting some new members into our Hall of Honors and Hall of Fame. Benedictine has 3 categories of honoring alumni. The Hall of Honors is for people who have been successful in life but have also been very involved at Benedictine or have given back to Benedictine. The Hall of Fame is the Athletic Hall of Fame, and the Hall of Distinction, the newest one, is people who've done very well in their career in their area. So every year we have in the fall people inducted about 6 or so different categories into the Hall of Distinction, and then the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Honors is every other year. And about a month or 2 ago, when our football players got their state championship rings, we had a nice ceremony in the gym, and we also unfurled the state championship banner. We finally unveiled a physical athletic Hall of Fame in the corridor of the gymnasium. So we've been inducting people for a number of years now, and we give them a very nice plaque to take home, but we weren't having one made for the school, and then it started to accumulate, and then you get behind. But my classmate, Wally Miskowski, the class of 71, he's our living Benedictine sports encyclopedia. He knows everything there is about Benedictine athletics. So he wrote a nice paragraph summary of each of the members of the Athletic Hall of Fame. And if you're ever down at Benedictine, it's in the gym corridor, and it's nice because you could read why they were nominated and why they were put in there. The Hall of Honors is smaller. Usually we put 2 people in every 2 years. Sad to say, one of the nominees for this year from the class of 60, Bob Mateka, won't be able to be there because he's very sick, and it happened very suddenly. Bob Mateka served for 6 years as the president of our board of trustees. Those are the lay people that helped to run Benedictine High School. Bob Mateka was the CFO of RPM Corporation, a very successful company out of Medina, right? I think it's down in Medina. Yes. And Bob retired, and then his successor wasn't too good, so they begged him to come out of retirement to take his job again. So he did it for several more years, and then when he retired the second time, he's been volunteering at Benedictine in our development office, and he'd come down a couple of days a week. He was also very involved with the Blue and White Gala. The Blue and White Gala is a fantastic event that happens every year. It's our #1 fundraiser at Benedictine. And we have it down now at the Marriott downtown, and it was in March on a Saturday night. We are our school is one of the most successful galas. We net $300,000 in that one night. And it requires a lot of people being there and making bids on different kinds of items and things like this. Bob was always very involved with that, and he participated in a golf outing. One of our graduates from the class of 73, Hank Bloom, he sponsors every gala a trip to Florida to play golf with Bishop Roger at Arnold Palmer's golf course. And he pays for the flight, he pays for the hotel, he pays for everything. And it's a very popular item. Well, Bob went down and he was part of that with Greg Rufus. Joe Rufus's son was the other one who took the bid on that. And then a few weeks later when he came up he suffered a stroke, and he had he deals with AFib with his heart, and the first stroke was he came out of it very well, and then he had a second stroke. So keep Bob Mateka in your prayers. He's at a rehab center. He won't be able to be there, but he knew about it 2 months ago that he was being nominated and that he was being inducted into that Hall of Honors. The other man is Andy Smith of the class of 78. The class of 78 is one of those classes that's very energetic at Benedictine, and they were the class behind the Basu field. 10 years ago they were talking about that field, and they're very energetic. There's 3 members of the class of 78 on our board of trustees who live out of town. I never thought I would have people out of town on my board. So every 2 months when we have a meeting, one comes in from New Orleans, one comes in from Detroit, and one comes in from Chicago. And Andy Smith is the one that comes in from Chicago, and he's been very helpful and very involved in Benedictine. The sports athletes that are being inducted are Ed Balin of the class of 49 for football and basketball, Mike Anzalone from the class of 52 for football, John D'Angelo from the class of 59 for basketball, and there was a beautiful story about him in the, what is this, the Lake County News Herald, I think. So my classmate scanned it, and I made some copies. So I know there's some people here. There's some class of 59 people here. Just left, okay. Well, if anybody wants to read about John D'Angelo, they did a beautiful story on him right there. And then Al Jackson from the class of 61 for basketball. And my classmate Carl Burrill from 71 for football, basketball, and baseball. He was our Mr. Benedictine, Carl Burrill. And Al Hodakovic of the class of 72 for football, basketball, baseball, and he was one of our head coaches. He took Basu's place when Basu stepped down. And Richard Allen, class of 87 for football. So these men are going to be inducted into the Benedictine Hall of Fame and Hall of Honors on Sunday. I brought some Bennetts here. Those of you like to pick up and see what's going on that way in the school. And the last thing I wanted to do is, the reason Benedictine came into existence and the reason it should stay in existence is not just because it has good athletes or puts people in good jobs in colleges, but we want them to go to heaven. I mean, if you go boil it down, the reason there's Catholic schools is we go beyond this life. We want people to get to heaven. And as you probably know, it's tougher now than before, because a lot of the students who come to Benedictine, even if they're Catholic, they come from families that don't go to church. 2/3 of Catholics don't go to church. And sometimes they don't even get them baptized. So we had one young man who's a senior this year. He and his brother, they have a Polish last name, and they were never baptized. And he's a really nice kid, very involved with all kind of things at the school. And all of a sudden we found out that he got into the RCIA, that's the program for people that are going to become baptized, at St. Charles in Parma. And during Lent, on one of the Sundays, all the people, the adults, preparing for baptism come to the cathedral, and the bishop greets them and they sign a book. It's called the Rite of Election. Well, Josh, our senior, went down to the cathedral, and he said while he was sitting there, the bishop said, look at all the people who have an influence on you being here. Your sponsors, your teachers, catechism teachers at the parish and all that. And think of the people who inspired you to want to become a Catholic. So he said when Bishop Lennon said that, he was thinking, it wasn't my family, they don't go to church. Who inspired me to become a Catholic? And he said it was the monks at Benedictine. So that night when he came home, he wrote an email to each one of us. There's like 6 or 7 of us on the faculty that he knows, and it was the most beautiful thing. This was a student, senior in high school, writing this. He says, "This evening I participated in the rite of election downtown at St. John's Cathedral with Bishop Lennon. This took place after signing my name in the Book of the Elect at a Mass earlier. The book was taken down and presented to Bishop Lennon in the service. During his homily, he talked about 4 different kinds of people that were present." He goes on and on. When he spoke about the last group, he mentioned that whoever inspired us could be a parent, a close friend, a relative, a neighbor. Sitting there in the cathedral with one of my team members filling in for my godparent, I couldn't decide who it was that led me to be there tonight. It wasn't a friend or a relative, wasn't even one of my parents that inspired me. That's when I realized it wasn't just one person. The reason I was sitting there and wanting to become a Catholic was because of the inspiration and mark the monks brought to me at Benedictine High School. I want to especially thank you tonight. I appreciate the lessons, the support, the openness, and respect that I have been taught over the past 4 years at Benedictine. In some way or another, you were the reason I made it through this process. With the theological education and the first-hand witness that Benedictine provided me, I now sit here humbly, ready to be baptized. I just wanted to take a few moments of time to thank you who helped me shape my faith. I mean, you brought us to tears to read that, you know? So, the good things are happening yet, and I just wanted you to know that. I even made some copies of that if you want to see that, and that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
Okay, got to move along. Joe Hornak, class of 1951. First off, I've been volunteering at the high school for 12 years. I work at the Slovak Institute. So any of you who visit the Abbey during the week, if you want to stop down, please make yourself known, and I'll be glad to show you through what we have there. I'd like to introduce some of my classmates that are here for the first time. Sal Maroney. Sal, raise your hand, please. Sal lives here in Macedonia. Sal had a son that graduated from Benedictine, and now he has a son, and now a grandson that is a junior, and his son belongs to St. Charles, and he may know the young man. Yeah. And the other one is Ralph Picorni.
Never mind.
And right. And Ralph lives in North Royalton, and these are both regular guys that come to all our reunions, and we've had quite a few from our class. Okay, and again, I apologize for talking fast, moving fast, but I'm not sure how much interest there is in this book. I brought this from home. It's 2014. I got it from Anthony DiGeronimo. I asked him for a roster of the football team from last year, and he was kind enough to give me this book. Now, I'm familiar with this book, but I just want to point out before I pass it around, and in the back section, I pigtail the pages. There's a list of Joe Rufus Spirit Award winners. There's Father Florian Memorial Sportsmanship Award winners. There's a page, this is football, Benedictine all-time opponent list from 1929 till 2013. There's a all-time scoring list, football, from, again, 1929 to 1913. And then a list that I started, I know Wally's a youngster. He's, I fed stuff to Wally, and I think he started with this. This is the football captains that have headed up the Benedictine football team. And that's a great list. And I don't even know nowadays you know, it'd be nice to have someday someone who was the captain of the football team or any team at Benedictine to find out what was expected of them in that position. We all, you know, I've known them personally, but I've never really put them on the spot to ask, you know, what type of leadership was really expected of you. Maybe there wasn't. Maybe, you know, guys like Joe Rufus, you know, Joe was in charge, and just like Mike Anzalone, I see he's Mike is from our era, my era of 1951, and he also was a good ball player too. So we only have him for football. But anyway, I'm going to pass this book around, and who wants to see it, or and just get it back to me. And that's basically it. The Slovak Institute, as you may or may not know, Father Andrew Peer was the director of that for quite a few years, from about 1950. Well, the first director was Dr. Rushovsky. Some of you may have even had him teaching in class, and Konstantin Chulin. And then Father Andrew took it over. And when Father Andrew got up there in years, Bishop Roger appointed Andrew Hudak and myself to try to fill in and bring it up to the current standards of computerizing and things like that. So, which I was more than happy to do. And if you would have asked me when I was in high school if I'd ever be doing that, you would have thought you were talking to the wrong guy, because Father Sprints was there, and Father Mikulak Sprints. Okay, I don't have to tell you about Father Sprints, but he had Slovak classes, and I didn't even. You couldn't even get me to go to the class, you know. So you know, things come around, and involvement is the biggest thing. Involvement is the biggest. Don't give me the hook. I didn't see you give me that. Yeah. And William Nobby gets in there. But if he gives you that, I'll put him in his place.
I just wanted to say that when you talk about the Slovaks, all the Italians here, I saw their eyes glazing over.
Oh, yeah? What? Anybody want equal time? I'm welcome to talk. Okay? Thank you. Nobby,
Oh, we're the boys from Benedictine, proud men are we. We don't pay our month's tuition or our physics fee. We don't give a hoot for Latin or Ignatius too, 'cause we're the boys from Benedictine, and who the hell are you? Benedictine High School. My father did not have $85 a year to pay for me to attend Benedictine. My first exposure into Benedictine was the 1948 charity game when Benedictine beat South High School. And I just said, that's where I want to go to high school. My father said, I don't have $85 a year. I was very, very fortunate. I pitched a baseball game for the city baseball championship. I pitched a 7-inning no-hitter, struck out 19 batters. I went to 4 for 5 as a batter, and I missed the sacrifice. At the end of the game, we are all jumping up, happy, giving high fives. A priest comes walking out. He says, "Hi, congratulations, I'm Father Roberts from Benedictine. Have you ever heard of a Benedictine?" I said, "I know their fight song since I was in the 6th grade. He said, "How would you like to go to Benedictine?" I said, "How would I like to go? I would love to." He said, "Then you're going to Benedictine, and at Benedictine we show pitchers how to bunt." Later, I find out Father Robert was a minor league baseball pitcher in the Philadelphia Phillies baseball organization. Father Robert happened to teach bookkeeping. I'm a CPA. I went to Benedictine because of Father Robert. Because of a Benedictine, and Father, I'm Mr. Benedictine in Outlaw City football, baseball, I'm in the Hall of Fame, Hall of Honor, and on and on and on. But because of the Benedictine, I won a scholarship. I was the first baseball scholarship at the Kent State University. First one ever. If you're ever the first of anything, you have a major responsibility into everyone that follows you. Well, by a miracle from our Lord, I graduated. I played 3 years of professional baseball, ended up with the Pittsburgh Pirates back in 1962 when baseball players weren't making exactly what they're making right now. So I was baseball 6 months, home 6 months, baseball. I was working on my MBA. I finished my MBA in 1964 at the Case Western Reserve University, and I passed the CPA exam. April 6, 1965, I was fired by the second largest CPA firm in the world for an inability to communicate. My speech impediment was a big handicap, and he recommended that I find a job in a back office. Well, I went home, read the books, Think and Grow Rich and the Power of Positive Thinking, and I wrote out 66 things I was going to make happen. Harvard Business School said, write your goals and objectives on a piece of paper and you have an 85% better chance of making them happen. Because when you have them written out, you're making a commitment. I was going to make a hole-in-one, have a Mercedes automobile. I didn't know what the hell a Mercedes was, but if you had one, you were in. I was going to make enough money to educate my family, be a millionaire, be interviewed on the radio, be an author, be a national motivational speaker. I get paid for speaking. Well, almost always. I just love America. So I went home, I did that, opened up a CPA firm in 1970 with John Veras, 1955 graduate. John and I were partners until 1980. He had his own firm, I had my own firm. I built my firm up to where I had 38 people with me. We were the 18th largest CPA firm in Northeastern Ohio. I sold to my employees. One of the 66 things I had written up is to build a baseball park. I built a baseball park at the Case Western Reserve University, which is called Nobby's Ballpark. I have a Case Western Reserve baseball jacket, which is the most expensive jacket you will ever see. But Case Western Reserve has a individual raising money by the name of Gary Pillar. Benedictine what, the 60? No, 71. He and I began speaking. He said, how about a baseball park? I said, yeah, that'd be a real good idea, but Benedictine has to play at the park. He said, well, I don't know if I can work it out. I said, well, what do you think you can work out? He comes back, he said, maybe they can have it for 25 years. I said, no deal. He comes back and said, well, maybe 50 years. I said, even though I have a speech impediment, read my lips. 100 years. Free use of this field, if you want this field called Nobby's Ballpark. He said, 100 years? Oh, great. Benedictine has free use of a baseball field at Case Western Reserve for 100 years.
Wow.
But this was all made happen. And all of these successes I have had, my biggest honor. I mean, I was voted one of the most influential CPAs in Ohio. I'm in the Greater Cleveland Baseball Hall of Fame, Akron Baseball Hall of Fame, on and on and on. My biggest honor is Mr. Benedictine. And I'm sure everyone here has a story that we can tell about Joe Rufus. They used to love when Joe Rufus and I got in an argument because Joe, with a speech impediment, me and a speech impediment, they used to stand but one of the other biggest influences in my life was Mr. Basu. Mr. Basu, they made the mistake of asking me to be the Master of Ceremonies in '95 or in '96, when he was all finished as the varsity football coach. I walked up and I said, Mr. Basu, and I'm sure you think I refer to you as Mr. Basu out of respect and admiration. I just want to admit this evening, in front of everybody, with my speech impediment, I just can't say Augie. And then I said the most sincere thing I've ever said in my life. And I saw 600 men give the greatest standing ovation I've ever seen in my life. I said, Mr. Basu, when our Lord puts you on this earth, He picks who your mother and father are going to be. I can honestly say, from the bottom of my heart, if our Lord would have asked me who I would like as my father, other than my father, I would pick Mr. Basu. And I will tell you guys, he got the greatest standing ovation I have ever seen from men of Benedictine and Cathedral. I saw him in the hospital 1 week before he passed away. I remember walking into the hospital, he's laying in the bed, $1 here, $1 there, and his wife's over there. He has the EKGs and the oxygen. I say, hey coach, what are you doing laying there? You should be working out. I reach over, I shake hands with him, we shake hands. Her eyes get about this big. I didn't have any idea. I hugged him and I thanked him, and he looked over at her and he said to her, best picture I ever had. How do you beat something like that? Then at the funeral, I see her and I say to her, was it my imagination or did your eyes get big when I shook your father's hand? She said, Nobby, that's the first time in 3 weeks that he moved a limb. See? Talk about Benedictine having an impact. Father, when you go back to the Abbey, thank everyone, the living and everybody on the wall. Thank you, Benedictine. Thank you.
Abby usually does get paid for speaking, so I'm gonna make sure. One thing just I want to emphasize here is you guys all know Woodland Hills Park. And you know as the years have gone on how it's deteriorated. So every baseball season it would take about a month to pick up all the broken bottles and the knives and everything else that were out there to let the baseball players actually have a decent game. You want to see a first-class park, go down by Case. You could pull your car right by the curb there and watch a Benedictine game And Nobby's Park is beautiful and is always in top shape. So we're very, very lucky that he did that. And one last thing is, his story with Father Robert has one conclusion. Nobby snuck down to the monastery when Father Robert was being waked, and he made sure he slipped a baseball in that casket before they closed it, right?
It was the baseball from that 1951 baseball
Oh.
game that he offered me financial assistance. I just had it at home in my foot locker. Father Robert passed away in '98, I think it was.
Yeah, I think, yeah, 99, I think.
98 or 99, and I went, I said a prayer, took that baseball, pocket, and I placed it under his hand. And I said, thank you, Father Robert.
Father Robert's brother just died, if you saw. Elmer Wilkes, class of 43. They had a memorial mass yesterday down at the school. Also today I'm having a funeral mass for James Koschak from class of 55. Kasich, he says his name, or Koschak. Class of 55, so.
That's great.
Apologize for babbling on, guys.
No, we appreciate it.
Not for those words. Speaking of babblers, I just want to ask everyone who's new today, don't go away. We generally give everybody a little videotape interview, and then we post it up on YouTube, as this will be posted on YouTube. It's not going to cost us any money. But if you'll do a search under Benedictine Men's Breakfast, you should be able to find today's, and put the date on there, and also any of the others that are taken, you can find them as well. Except Jim Green, I edited him out. But I did play It's Not Easy Being Green. Anyhow, I don't know if Mike Mazer would grace us with his persona of Joe Rufus. Mike?
There you go, Mike. Oh, jeez.
Thank you, thank you.
Hi, fellas. Here today because we're Benedictine, fellas. I know Nobby over there. I talked with him many times, fellas. And we're going to get together again in September. Is that right, Bobby?
That's right.
All right. Because we're tough. And you got to be tough because you're part of Benedict's history. And we're going to get together with the good father, too. Isn't that right, Bobby?
Yeah.
There you go. And I don't want to hear those names. What's that, Bobo? That's not very nice, fellas. I'm going to come after you, fellas. But anyway, Mr. Rufus, and like Nobby said, Mr. Basu, were two tremendous influences in my life and that stuff. And I didn't even play football or sports. But just to watch Mr. Basu go to Mass every day. I think he went to Mass more than some of the priests, but I don't want to say which one. And all of the lay people and the priests there together. I mean, I had English class, and there was a fellow there by the name of Chekalinsky. He taught English. I'm still friends with him. We get together all the time and still discuss English, the English language, and how much it's gone away. We talked about family. The last time I was here, referencing Mr. Rufus's analogy of the wagon wheel and how important the family was as the hub of that wheel to keep going for our society. And since the last time we got together, the news media hasn't picked up anything really that great. There's still so many problems. We need to be examples when we're out in the world and whatnot, and to shed light about the Benedictine ways. I think it was a great education. It's a great group of people. We all have it in us. That's why we're here today. And we just need to show that little light to other people in that. And that's all I got to say. But thank you very much for allowing me to be here again. God bless you all.
Hey, Bob,
Yes.
one of the other reasons I thank Father Robert is being a CPA with a speech impediment, I get paid by the hour. And secondly, for being 78 years old is okay, because Holy Saturday, I hid 15 Easter eggs. On Easter Sunday, I found 6 of them.
All right. Just hold up, I'm writing back here. Well, guys, I hope you like what we're doing. Is there anything that you want to express that we should do, add it, something different? Anything you have in mind? No? You like just what it is, right? Okay, and like I said, for 55 years or more, I says we've been carrying this thing, what, about 4 years now? 3, 4 years? Breakfast. So things don't change. 55 years, and look at something stay the same. I got a Irishman on my right, and I got a water boy on my left. So, you know, a 4-leaf clover and a water boy from our year of 60. I mean, we're still here, and we're hoping we have many more years to come. So I thank you all again for coming, and we'll see you in September. Thank you.
Okay, my name's Bob Vadovic. I'm from the class of 1966, and I've really enjoyed being at Benedictine. I'm trying to help them right now by being on their finance committee. I've been married since 1972, and Father Robert Wilkes was the priest who married us. My wife just recently retired from being a principal and teacher in the Catholic school system. Her school closed last June, and she was forced into retirement. I'm into retirement, but we're both doing real good. We live in Sagamore Hills, and we're just happy we're still with us. And I can't say enough about Benedictine. It's a great place. One day, a couple weeks ago, we were in Walgreens, and I was wearing my Benedictine jacket, and the pharmacist behind the counter said, I have a nephew whose stepfather is a coach at Benedictine, and he's planning to go there. So I had to talk about the school that day, other than sports. I talked about the new music program, and that it's more than just a sports school. So I just hope we're around for another 50 years or so.
Come up, tell them, hey, come out and have breakfast. I was trying to talk to my brother. Well, some of them, you know, there's some, I don't know, you can't watch. But you know, there's some that don't know about it.
Every time you come out with alumni highlights, he's got information in there like a press.
Well, that's
Sullivan, have a good weekend.
This is the second time
Thanks a lot, sir. Good seeing you again.
Oh, really?
Didn't mean.